All right, we should be on the air here in just a second. Wait for the feed to come up so I can keep track of the comments. There we go. All right. Brandon Jones, welcome. All right, guys. So for those of you who don't know, this is a live question and answer session with us here at Shooters Connection. Allow me to introduce Chuck Bradley, owner and president and founder, I guess, right, of Shooters Connection?
Yes. Back in 1995.
95. I was 6 years old.
6 years old, huh?
I think I had got my first BB gun by then. So, wasn't trusted with it until later, of course. Yeah. But no, we're here to answer your questions. I know when I shoot matches, I get asked, what it's like at Shooters Connection. What is the order processing like? How long we've been in business? How we ship orders so quick and stuff like that. Hey, Brian Conley, good to see you. And we're kind of here to answer those questions. So if you have a question for us, put it in the comments. We're watching the comments here on this phone and be happy to answer them for you. Keep it clean, keep it relevant, please. And we're also giving away some stuff. What are we giving away, Chuck?
Giving away a pair of Hunter's Gold glasses.
Hunter's HD Gold glasses. That's Brian Conley in the comments, actually, the owner of Hunter's HD Gold.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest.
Yeah, it's probably
you got to give away. A couple of the new Gen Steel belts
right here.
It's our newest belt, and I can explain how we came up with the name on it if you want to go through that.
Yeah,
it's a little corny, I think, to some people, but basically it's got a steel liner, and we have made it a little refined. One of the words for refined is genteel. So because it has steel in it and it's a different generation, and the meaning of the word for refined is gen steel, I came up with Gen Steel.
I like it. We tried doing some brainstorming here. We thought about doing, Universal 2. Then we realized that's U2, and we don't really want to be associated with a band, I guess. But I've been running the prototype of this. We got back in October, I think. I ran it at Single Stack Nationals. I like it a lot. It is a lot cleaner in the stitching, for one. I wouldn't say cleaner. It's a different look. It's an edge to edge. So you do get some advantages, and the steel liner is great.
Yeah, the first belt had the Velcro sitting on top, and you had rough edges open on the edge. This one, we've closed the edges in, so it's just a nice, cleaner look to it.
Yeah.
The steel liner makes it a little stiffer, and doesn't have to be as thick to get the stiffness on it. And then we put a little bit of padding on the front to give it a little bit of substance.
Nice. We got a question and comments from Jeff Ferguson. What are the differences between the CR Speed belt and the Shooters Connection race belt, if any?
Well, there are some differences. I think most of these belts all use a plastic.
Oh, I need to fix the video. You're cut off.
Am I cut off?
Yeah.
Oh.
At least it is on my screen.
Well, half of me still one person, so.
Let's see if I can adjust this. That should be a little bit better now.
Well, you just got up from the table on the video.
I'm more centered, at least. But sorry,
okay,
cut you off there.
So the question was the difference in the belts. All these belts are pretty similar. They got the Velcro on them, they got the nylon on them, they got the plastic inner, and I just wanted to make this one a little bit cleaner. Our original belt has the rough edges on it. Of course, it's a lower price point too. You still got me cut off?
No, I'm cut off now.
Oh, now you're cut off? Okay.
I'm sure Chuck's okay with that, though.
No, you're our MC for this, so we need you in the picture.
Yeah, I'm going to scoot a little closer to you, too.
You got a little bit more of this energy than I do, okay?
Yeah.
I'm more laid back and subdued.
Got 30 people watching. I like it.
Really? Okay. So does that answer your questions, Jeff? I don't know if I did a good enough job at it, because all these belts really isn't that much difference in them.
Yeah. You see the most difference in belts, I think the DAA is the most different. Not necessarily better. We still see a lot more our belt and CR Speed belts out there than we do DAA. DAA added just a hair of a height to the belt. So some things are tough to get on there. I run a DAA belt myself in open. I run our belt and everything else. But part of that is I'm much rougher on my stuff in open. I shoot open a lot. And I have to use a vise to get CR Speed mag pouches on a DAA belt. I'm not kidding. I made a video showing that, but I don't touch them after that happens. But it's because they added a little bit of height, and some people don't like that. We get a few comments about that.
Pretty much the CR Speed belt is one of the thinnest ones, and it'll have a little bit more flex to it. The double alpha belt's thicker, taller, harder to get stuff on it. Mm-hmm. It's really stiff, and I wanted to come in between a little bit. So we ripped the belts apart and measured the thickness of the polymer inside and all that, and we sort of went to the middle ground to get a perfect balance between the two.
Okay. In case you guys don't know, Chuck Bradley has been shooting since 1993.
In competition.
In competition.
Yeah, I've shot since I was little too.
Yeah. Well,
as soon as my dad would let me grab a gun, I was grabbing it and wanting to go shoot it.
Cool.
So,
to give you a little background there, I don't even think there was divisions in '93.
I think it had just started, and they had limited and unlimited, which is now open.
Gotcha.
But they used to call it, I thought it was sort of dumb to call it unlimited, but so it's a good change to switch to open. Yeah. I think it's a better name for it.
Because even in open and like racing, there's still limits in those divisions, right? Like, well, right. Generally speaking. Got another question, comments from Danny Korn. Your personal favorite optics for each division, open, carry optics, PCC, or for each use, and what optics are the most popular from your store? You want me to swing that one?
Here's my open gun, and it's got a Seymour RTS2 on it, and I really like the RTS2.
Yeah, RTS2 is by far the best. Well, Seymour in general is our best mover here. We send more Seymour dots out than any other dots we carry combined. And I personally run Seymour optics on everything I have, with the exception of I think I have some older Holosons on my 300 blackout pistol. That's what I had lying around for that. We do have noticed a lot of SIG optics going out the door lately, the Max and the XL. I think those are really hard to get in general though. So those are probably a great option. Coming from someone who shoots open a lot, I don't care what dot you use. Obviously prefer you get it from us, that'd be nice. But micro red dots in their current state they don't last. They are not a forever purchase, so get what one you like, get another one so you have a spare, and be ready for it to last however long it lasts. I've had a really good track record with Seymour, so I'm going to keep running RTS2s for the time being on that. I shot carry optics with an RTS2 on a Shadow 2 last year at Nationals. It ran great. People have mixed experiences, but I'm hoping some stuff comes along here in the near future that is going to change that.
So what's this carry optics division? Yeah,
that didn't exist. Well, your generation designed red dots from the ground up.
Yeah. That's one thing about Seymour is I've done business with Seymour for over 20 years. And even the original Seymour went through so many revisions when they were built for competition shooters, pretty much by competition shooters. And these guys were using them, and they'd come up with a problem, and they send it to Seymour, and they'd figure out how to fix it, and they'd fix it. So the sites were going through all these revisions, just like the RTS2's been through 5 revisions so far. And I think they've got it pretty rock solid now. And another good thing about it is they're so good at Seymour, if you do have a problem, you send it back to them, and they fix it.
Pretty good turnaround.
They can, yeah.
Even before I worked here, I had an issue, I think, with a version 3 back in 16, and I had it back in 2 weeks, maybe 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. I was nobody back then. Holosun 508 version 2, will you be getting those soon? I am not the guy to ask for that. I would imagine so, though. We've got the 507 V2s in. We've been selling those lately. 508, I can't remember what that changed in that version. Something you can probably answer, Chuck. What is the difference of performance or recoil impulse between Wolf conventional and variable power springs?
Okay, that's something that I learned a long time ago, and let me see if I can remember the explanation here. The conventional spring has got the same spacing between the coils, so you're going to have more of a consistent buildup on the spring pressure. The The competition wind will have a variation in your coils to give you more of an even pressure as the gun cycles through. I always use the competition wind. Is that what it's called?
It's called variable.
The variables. Okay. I always use the variable springs in my guns. But.
Okay. We got 37 people watching right now. I think that's a pretty good number to give away. What do you think? Want to give away a belt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Aaron Eddins, good to see you in the comments there, bud. So we have 1, 2, 3 questions so far. And like I said in the earlier video, you have to post a question in the comments, a relevant question, to be entered to win. You can't just be watching it. You got to be involved too. So of those, I think there's 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep. All right, Chuck, you can't see this and know who's what. So number between 1 and 4.
2.
2?
2.
All right. From the top, that would be Danny Korn. Danny Korn, we know who you are. We know where you live. You are the proud winner of a Gen Steel shooting belt. So send us an email, or actually I'll send you an email here before I get out of here and let you know how to redeem that. Or you can just give us a call on Monday.
The only thing we need is the size and the color. Hopefully we have that one in stock. This is a good time for me to talk about belt sizing. This is one of the most returned items we have are belts, and we try to put in the descriptions videos and talking about take a tape measure and measure your waist, because most clothing is not sized to your actual waist size. So if you use your pant size, you're probably going to get a belt that's about 4 inches too small. That's the number that we've come up with over the many years of how it works. So put a tape measure on your waist and then go from that instead of your pant size or belt size. I had to get that in.
No, please. Yeah, our number one return is on belts, and the clothing company's been lying to you for years. All right, It's a different application.
You're fatter than you think you are.
I wasn't going to put it that way, but
I can say it. Okay.
Okay. Well, you also own the place. Did you bring it to BGSL Sunday? Whoever said I'm going to be there Sunday? You don't know me, Danny. Yeah. Maybe, but you'll have to get in touch with us here pretty quick. Okay. All right. Best 2011 mags from Kevin Schultz. STI with TTI base pad, spring and follower, or MBX? And Brandon Rader, we'll get to your comment here in a bit. Where to go? Best 2011 mag. STI mags were the only mags really available except for like Rest Comp back in the day, weren't they?
Oh, it was just STI.
Just STI. When did Rest Comp?
And then Infinity came along, and then we had Infinity. And back in the 90s, you know, I was actually SV's #1 distributor and on their shooting team. And I really liked their magazine. In fact, I still have some of their magazines, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, most all the magazines that I used back then, I had to tune. I had to work on them. Like
no matter.
Brian Enos showed me how to work on the 40 cal mags from SV and how to make them run and be reliable by taking a Dremel tool to them. And I mean, it was we used to do a lot of work to them. So right now, I think if you wanted some magazines that would be mostly untunable or unneeded, not in the need of tuning, would be the MBX mags.
Yep. I own 10 of them. I have never tuned any of them. Changed springs and followers. Change followers once a year to be on the safe side, and change springs twice a year. I see a lot of people running the new STI Gen 2s, and we get those in here and there. And you don't have to run a spacer in those, unlike the Gen 1s and such back in the day for 9mm. So TTI base pads are probably the bestseller base pad. The Dawsons used to be. However, with everyone running the like Limcat style, really radiused, deep magwell, the Dawsons can't interfere with that magwell. So people have kind of moved away from those in favor of the low profile, either an MBX style base pad or Terran style base pad. We just got in some base pads from Nathan Carter, Shooting Sports Innovations, that would accomplish the same thing. They're pretty low profile. So that's probably the main concern, is the base pad design. When it comes to tubes, you can run either, but my personal preference is MBX. It is kind of a tough pill to swallow with the price. However, for $130 for a 140 millimeter magazine, if you buy a Gen 2 STI, you're paying $50 for the tube because you're going to throw away the guts and the base pad that comes with. So then you're going to buy a TTI base pad that's $32. So now you're at $82. And you're going to buy a grams kit. You're already at $100. You're at $100 for a mag that you might still have to tune. Spend a little bit extra money and get one that
get
has
a higher quality too.
Higher quality.
Another thing we found out just last week that the Gen 2 STI mags don't fit all the different base pads that are made for the MBXs or the.
Keep in mind, MBX is meant for
MBX. We had a customer that bought some MBX base pads and tried to put them on an STI Gen 2, and it just wouldn't work.
Yeah. Okay. This isn't a question, it's more of a comment. Okay. I kind of like this comment. Aaron Eddins, a amazing individual from the East, very, very attractive man, I must say. Chuck, John deserves a raise for his customer service. Not too much, though. It'll go to his head. So you're great on the first half. You had me in the first half, Aaron. You lost me in the second half, though. Going back here.
John, did we not take care of that at the beginning of the year? Did we not take care of that?
I don't know. Did we?
Yeah.
I must have missed that conversation.
But your paycheck got bigger, right? Huh?
What's that? How's that old song go about sold my soul to the company store or something like that?
I'm not supposed to tell anybody that, am I?
If you want to answer this while I go get the bowl out of the safe, somebody asked me about the bowl limited gun.
Okay.
I've got this question several times. Are we ever going to offer hardcover painted targets?
Hardcover painted targets. That's a we've looked into it. And I've discussed it with Troy McManus and Mike Foley. Of course, everybody knows Mike used to work here. The problem with the painted targets is to make them accurate. They don't hit the lines consistently from target to target as much as I think they should. So we have thought about maybe, and we've talked about this with some of the ROs, is make it mostly hardcover, but you still have to run the piece of tape from corner to corner so they're all the same. So you have equal scoring zones. So that's just something that we've looked at, and I haven't really just grabbed a hold of it because I haven't been happy with what we can produce.
I want to say it was the 9 days of nationals. Yeah, because I was working the match. That's what it was. 9 days of nationals back in 2018. The staff at nationals, great. The staff did great, but they had to modify every single. I'm not going to say where they got the targets from, but they had to modify every single one to make sure they're consistent. Because it's I want to say it's silk screen printing or screen printing on there, so you get some variations between the two. So it's still on the staff to make sure they are the same, or at least on the same stage. Somebody asked about the Bull Armory. It does take different mags, but they're basically modified paramags. MBX makes mags for them. There's one of the magazines there. But I wanted to show you this.
Is this for the IPSC box?
Yes, that's meant to fit the IPSC box, but you can put a base pad on there. And supposedly the Taylor Freelance extensions work on this one thing. But this is how the gun was sent to us. Give you a quick rundown here. We are clear. But things I noticed, yes, it is a polymer grip. However, I think it's better than the stock STI. I always had to grind down the front strap on the stock STI to make it less, dig into my hand less. It's a little more rounded.
Every one of mine's had that done to it on my STI grips.
Barrel fits great. Triggers, I don't know, what do you call that, Chuck? I'd say about 2.5 maybe.
I don't know, you like triggers that are too light. Me and John, both being grandmasters, we discuss things and we have disagreements. Like he likes a really light trigger and I like one about 2.5 pounds that's got a good hard firm return on it. Because to me it just I can get back on it quicker.
Yep.
2.5, 2 3/4.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty crisp though.
Yeah.
We've been really impressed with the Bull guns. I mean, yes, the double stacks take different magazines, but this is probably some of the best value you're going to find, especially with STI discontinuing their competition line. Value-wise, I don't think you can beat it. I mean, that's not saying it just because we sell them. I mean, a friend of mine, Chris Tilley, took a Bull 1911 to single stack nationals, beat my butt with it, and I think he had a week with that gun. I don't think he changed anything. Paul Kerr in Tennessee whooped my butt with the same gun. They make good guns. Mark Santos, we'll get to your question here in a bit. I need to scroll up here and see. Brandon Rader said I second that. He definitely needs a raise, so we'll get back to that too. Brandon Rader's first question here says, if you could take a class with anyone, who would it be? I'm going to modify that question a little bit here. Chuck, did you take any classes from anybody back in the day when you were starting out?
Actually, not really. I was sort of proud, and I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be known for taking classes. I wanted to do it my own way, right?
All right, keep in mind, guys, Chuck's a multiple division grandmaster back when they invented grandmaster. So,
yeah, I was limited division. I think there was only 20 some of us when I made grandmaster and limited. That was my favorite division was limited. But what was the question again? I'm getting old.
Classes. If you take a class from somebody, or did you take classes?
There's one time, and I don't know if I should even tell this story, but my brother, who was traveling with me when we first started the business in the late 90s, wanted to take a class, and we were doing a match from Erie, Pennsylvania to Albany, New York. So we had our truck and our trailer taking our goods around and selling it. That's how we got the business started. In between, we had a week to kill, right? We were actually packaging packages out of our trailer in the hotel room and dropping them off at the UPS store while we were there. So
keep the business going.
But my brother wanted to take this class from Matt Burkett. Now, whatever you want to say about Matt, Matt was still a good shooter and a top shooter, and he actually was really good at the classes. So Mike took the class, and I went to pick Mike up one day after he took his class, and I'd done the business and at the range, and Matt talked me into coming back the next day to do the class with him.
Okay.
And I was like, come on, Matt, I don't need this. And he's like, oh, yeah, come on, you'll like it. So we do he always puts a stage on at the end of the day and lets everybody run it and compete against each other. And here he was running his open gun, I was running my limited gun, and I beat him. He wasn't too happy about that one. So that's the only class that I ever did, was to shoot with Matt Burkett that day with the guys.
So to answer that from me, there are a lot of great instructors out there right now, and I have kind of a man crush on JJ. JJ, believe it or not, when I was living in Alaska in 2014, it was my second major ever, and it was a major because it's Alaska, it was like 80 people. JJ came up there and shot it. I think he was teaching a class. And my first interaction with JJ in my life was I was shooting limited, and he walked up to me after I shot a stage and said, man, you trying to turn that double stack into a single stack? Like, you're gripping the living hell out of it. Like, I was forearms popping out trying to crush this gun. And he gave me some pointers. We had a small little chat. I didn't know who he was, except that he was the guy they flew up to teach the class. I think I was C class at the time. And he recognized me a year later when I was shooting down in the Southeast. And it really stuck with me. Hey, he remembers people, he's a good person. And his teaching methodology, I think, is great. He talks a lot about mindset and with thinking things through. So I think that is where I could use the most help.
It's funny, when that question was asked, JJ's what popped into my head, because JJ is a quality individual.
He's a good person.
Yeah, and he's a great shooter, super nice guy. I was going to say, technical wise, if you could get a class from Jerry Barnhart, but I don't think he's even teaching classes anymore.
I don't think he's teaching. I think he signed up for a match last year or something, though.
Did he?
I don't know if he shot it. I remember seeing his name.
Jerry's got some videos out there, old videos, and if you can get a hold of them, they're really good.
Yeah. Brandon Rader said he took JJ's class earlier this year. Absolutely amazing shooter and teacher. Yeah, I've squatted with him a few times. He's great. All right, scrolling back up here to get back to some new questions here. I know John loves open. This is from Mark Santos. But what division do you enjoy, Chuck? Also, which one is most popular with your customers? Thanks.
Wow.
I'd say probably limited, right?
Well, limited was the one that I enjoyed the most, and I probably still do enjoy that the most. Yeah, I'll jump into shooting single stack. I'll tell you one I don't like. I'm sorry, but it's one of the most popular divisions is production. I tried shooting that one year. I had so many problems with the 9mm round not knocking over the steel and
yeah.
I was like, I'm done with this. I'm going back to shooting major. So
gotcha. The What about popular with customers? I'd say any 1911. It's kind of hard to tell when someone buys a hammer for 1911.
So here's the thing to answer that question properly. The breakdown of divisions may not be our customer base exactly, because the guys that like to tinker in open and limited, like to tinker with their guns, even single stack, and the production guys don't do that as much. So I'm thinking that maybe they're probably not our customers as much as they are the mainstream market customers.
Yeah.
So I would say for us, it's between open and limited. I think would be our customer base.
Yes, PCC has been growing in that respect because PCCers like to tinker, especially with JP parts, MBX parts for PCCs. I mean, that's half the fun is playing with your gun and making it better for you. I mean, if I could have all the rounds back that I spent playing with my guns, I mean, I'd have probably close to a year's worth of practice rounds back in my pocket. Speaking of JP, actually, before we take another question here, we've had a lot of good questions here. We want to give something else away again?
Let's do the bag.
The bag?
All right. Do a bag.
So this is the marketing part of what we're doing today, guys. I mean, let's be honest. We're in business to do business. Pro Compact bag. It's not as small as you think, but it's not the size of our Pro 2 tournament bag. This is, if I can get this Velcro open. There we go. It's a lot of space. So I like to use one of these when I either travel or shoot like a small local.
We just made it a little bit bigger because when we made it the first batch of them, we couldn't put an open gun in it, which was not good. So what we did, we made it a little bit bigger so we put an open gun in it.
Yep.
Although this is a shorty, there's still some extra room in there.
Okay.
I do like the short open guns. Me and Dan Bedell worked on some of those in the beginning, back in 2004, I think.
So with that, hey Kevin Mayfield, welcome to the party. So you don't know how many comments, so we'll go from the bottom this time. Number between 1 and 10.
1 and 10?
Mm-hmm.
How about 8?
8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sean Caulfield. Sean Caulfield, if you could send us an email or I can look up your account, you won a Pro Compact bag. Shoot us an email, customer service at shootersconnection.com, or I'll probably just take a note here and look up your account and shoot you an email here tonight. Congratulations. Hope you like it. Going back on to the answering questions part. Brandon Jones says, have you guys thought of doing any more videos online showing all the products you carry in stock?
Yeah, I'm on John's case all the time about, hey, we need more videos. We need ideas for videos. Though.
Yes, and time.
It's tough. I mean, I did one on timers and I did another one on holsters, and since I did the one on holsters, it's almost a little bit obsolete now because the Racer X holster came out. Which
Alpha X, Racer X, Everglades MRH has come out.
Oh, yeah, so
we carry Red Hill now.
The Safariland holster.
The 015s moving like crazy. Got those back in stock today in black. So the short answer to that is yes. If there is something you want in particular, please shoot us an email so it can get put on my radar. In case you haven't noticed, I handle the majority of the social media stuff. I'm on Facebook a lot already, so it makes sense. And I have my range and my property if we want to do, some actual live shooting. We did that PCC video. Was that a year and a half ago? Chuck built himself PCC and fired the first rounds on my range, the property. That was pretty fun to make.
I've never shot that gun again.
Because you haven't shot anything since then, have you?
Last year's Kentucky match was the last match I shot.
Single stack, yeah. Matt Malone, no, I am not addicted to PCC. If I ever say I am, please light me on fire. Keep on going here. Who doesn't have a man crush on JJ? Yep, open is the way, Brandon Rader. What is your most sold item on the site? Ultimate competition belt, I'd say. Our original.
Well, you know what I think it probably
actually
is the CR Speed Versa pouch, because we sell thousands of those things.
The
only thing is we can't get them right now.
Yeah, so for those you don't know, CR Speed is based out of South Africa. And in case you've been living in a hole for the last 3 to 6 months, COVID-19 has affected a lot of things. And South Africa went into lockdown. We had an order waiting to leave South Africa since, I think, March. We just got our first shipment in of it yesterday.
We got 1/4 of the shipment, 2 boxes in yesterday. And it's been 4 months. They've been sitting in the system for 4 months before they got 2 of them got here. The other boxes are still out there somewhere. We don't even know where they are.
Steve Fisher says, what do you guys recommend? Oh, that just cut out. I hope we didn't.
Are we still on?
Yes, we are. Okay, cool. I think my phone just fritzed out here. Mike Foley says, hey fellas. My phone is fritzing out a little bit. You want to get your phone? And I can pull it up. Mike Foley, good to see you. We were going to talk about getting you in here, but figured you're probably really busy. In case y'all didn't know, Mike Foley used to work here. I actually took Mike's old job, kind of, and just pull up Facebook and I can get it from there. To answer some other questions real quick, are we going to start carrying the AMG Lab Commander timers? Yes. Asterisk COVID-19. We had them on order, and right before COVID-19 lockdown started, and well, let's just say we're having trouble getting the AMG Lab Commander timers. Yep, there we go. Cool. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, we want to get Mike in here for one of these.
Yeah, if we do this again, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Honestly, have kind of a round table. Okay.
I could put a little plug in for him. I think he's done a fantastic job at USPSA. So now he owes me one. He has to show up, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know if I want to ask Chuck that question, Brandon Jones. Who's a better worker, John or Mike?
Oh, they both get it done. I'm not going to pick one or the other. I mean, they both got it done or get it done.
Mike Foley said, let's do it for the next one.
Okay.
That's a great KG answer to not offend the president of USPSA or your current employee. So
I have to throw this plug in there. The hardest worker in this whole building
is Wendy.
Is Wendy.
Yeah. I don't think you find anybody.
She goes at it and she tries to take care of stuff.
Any major matches coming up? You guys sponsoring?
I thought they were all shut down.
Yeah. Chuck, how many matches a year does Shooters Connection sponsor? 70?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I don't even count them.
Suppose you don't know, Chuck's program is a buy one get one program. Every match wants to be sponsored. This allows him not to have to say no to anybody. Still give something to the sport without going out of business, so to speak.
Yeah.
But if you've shot a match anywhere in the U.S., at some point you've shot Shooters Connection targets. I promise you. Okay, Steve Fisher. Make sure I'm not missing anything here before I get to that one. Okay. Steve Fisher said, I'll ask again, since your phone weirded out, Elfman or Hyperfire triggers? Hyperfire. Elfman makes good products. I would not hesitate to run one of theirs in a AR-15. However, the PCC, people who run PCC a lot don't lie with what works. Hyperfire 24C. I mean, that's our best seller. They're hard to get right now, though. I wouldn't hesitate putting an Elfman in there. They have good customer service, but it's not what everybody else is running. So, yep, Hyperfire. Okay, that's not really a question. We've been live for a little over 34 minutes now. Cool. Glad you guys are still watching. Did anyone see a fence, Brett Owens? I have no idea what you're asking there. Okay, so Kelly Brown, you're welcome. So we're sponsoring the Oklahoma section match. And Lipsa. Oh, that's right. That's that match coming up here really soon.
Long Island?
Yeah.
I've been to Long Island. Shot a match there one time, an Area 7 match. It was probably one of the hottest matches I ever shot.
Jeff Paulson, I think. Will I be at Atomic Blast? No, due to COVID-19, once again, a lot of stuff got rescheduled, and I'm shooting 7 majors back-to-back. starting in mid-August, a weekend off, and then another major. And then 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off, then shooting back-to-back nationals. So I already have my schedule locked in, and my wife has already, basically been hating me in advance for being gone so much or planning to be gone so much.
They tend to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait for some more questions to filter in here. One thing that I wanted, can I see that sheet with my notes on there real quick? One thing I wanted to ask Chuck, this is honestly, I don't think I've asked them this while I've worked here, is what do you think, what's the biggest change you've noticed? And I'm not talking about gear. I'm not talking about the equipment we use, because that's constantly evolving. What have you noticed changing with matches or stages or shooters?
When you asked that to me earlier, I was trying to, recollect that. And basically, the game has changed quite a bit.
Okay.
So when I first started, we would go to Bluegrass Sportsman's League or Ashland Gun Club, and there would be 3 stages. And some of them, it would be a classifier, and then you'd have a stage for open, and you have a stage for limited. And you would shoot the classifier for both, and both the clubs did that. And if you travel to like a section match, you might get 5 stages. Okay, and some of these were even small stages, like 8 rounds or 12 rounds or 14.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's like, now I look at it back now, because I think back then our goal was to make bigger matches and shoot more rounds, because we just, I was ate up with it back then, and so was everybody else. And we wanted to shoot more and shoot more and shoot more. But and through the years, it's progressed that. Now you go to a local match, I think at Bluegrass, and they're putting on 7 stages.
Usually at Bluegrass, it's 6 stages. This weekend is 12, but they're all small stages.
They're all small, but I mean, even when they do 6, they're all like 28, 30 rounds, right?
Yeah. So your average local match is about 150 rounds.
I've shot nationals that weren't that many rounds. Okay, so that's another thing that I've seen changes is the bigger matches used to be an event, used to be a social event, and you would go and you would do the whole thing. You'd the whole time there. Like nationals would be 5 days for a while. It used to be just one nationals. Then they started doing an open and limited nationals, and it would be like 5 days. You get 1 day off, and they give you that day off so you could go to the vendor's tent and walk around the vendor's tent, or go to the super squad and watch the super squad shoot, because it was a big thing then. It was a whole event. And now it's like shoot and scoot. They want to shoot. They want to shoot it all in one day, and they want to be out. So that's a difference in the matches, I think, from then and now.
Okay, I honestly I didn't know that. I started shooting really like wanting to get out and shoot my local match every month back in 2011, I think, 2011. And it was always, my first exposure was 5 or 6 stages, and roughly 150 rounds, somewhere in that range, give or take 20. Moved to Alaska, same idea, unless it was an indoor match. And so that's kind of been the norm I've seen. A section match should be between 8 and 12 stages. An area match should be between 10 and 14. Nationals should be, 12 plus. Minimum.
Shot at nationals once. It was 11 stages, 163 rounds.
I'm surprised you remember that.
I do, because a lot of people were upset over it.
I can imagine.
They thought, hey, it's nationals. It should be a little bit more grand than this, But it was more about the social event and just the event, because you would have you go sign up, and they had this big social hour, somewhere almost like IPSC World Shoot. And then at the end of the match, they have a banquet. You sit down and they do these drawn out awards at a banquet, and everybody's they're wearing suit and ties. I mean, it was a fancy thing, and I think we got away from that.
I will say that Shannon Smith's matches down in Florida still have that social aspect. If you stay for awards, if you've ever been to Florida at Universal, once final shots fired and arbitration is begun, around there, around that time, Yingling comes out. We're all responsible adults, and it's time to hang out and enjoy a few cold ones with the guys or girls and have a good time. And I'm sad that I have to fly back more often than not and not see it. Although Nationals is coming up, so be able to do that again. But yeah, no, the social aspect, that's how part of the reason I got into it too, was seeing good people and hanging out. And I feel what you're saying, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So, We're getting up there. Okay, so scroll down. On that note, Brandon Rader, if I didn't shoot one of Pat's guns, what would I shoot? That's a good question. I like Don Friedenhagen's work a lot. He's a great customer of ours, good guy, very knowledgeable, friend of Pat's, and I bounced some ideas off him and Pat before, and I would feel confident running one of Don's guns. Beyond that, I mean, the biggest thing is...
Well, I mean, we got...
Bedell.
The Dan Bedell's gun. I mean, Dan builds a good gun. That's what I've been shooting for a while. I think, what is this one here? This is my limited.
That's a die custom, isn't it?
Mark Die. Yeah, Mark Die is a really good gunsmith too. There's so many good gunsmiths. It's hard to pinpoint one of them.
Find someone you like that's willing to communicate with you. Eddie Garcia makes some great stuff. Communication. They should be able to talk with you about why they're doing what they're doing. They should take input from you, depending on if you know what you're doing, and they should stand behind their product within reason. You know, if you run over your gun with a truck, I mean, I wouldn't expect them to warranty it, but you know, within reason. You should feel comfortable with it.
Here's the thing with race guns. They're like an Indy race car. They're not going to be warranted forever. Parts are going to break and they're going to wear out. So you might want to hook up with a gunsmith who will continue to maintain your gun. I know Pat's working on your gun all the time because you're always breaking stuff, right?
Well, I like changing things, okay? All right? It's not that I break stuff. It's that I like change. Anyway, we were up over almost 70 viewers for a second, by the way. All right, I'm not going to be able to answer all of them here. Let's give away another belt. I like doing the Hunter's HD Gold glasses at the end is kind of the finale. Would probably be best. Once again, number 1 through 10. We'll start right about there.
Number 1 through 10. Let's try lucky 7.
Lucky number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Zach McMorty. Excuse me, Zach McMorty. I'm going to answer your question first. What's the nicest range you've shot at?
The nicest range I've shot at.
I think Universal.
Universal's okay. I mean, Universal's nice. I really like out west. So I've been to the Tulsa range.
I've been there once, yeah.
The Tulsa range is immaculate. The problem is it's not too functional, especially if it's raining. Okay?
Yeah.
The one of my favorite ranges was in Reno. It was dry. It was all in one line. Just the whole range was just a straight line of bays, and all the parking area was right behind the bays. So if you needed to move stages, you just got in your car and drove to the next stage. It was really cool.
To claim.
Of course, you compare that to Paso Park in Illinois.
I've never been there.
It's a hike. You're going mountain hiking when you go to Paso Park. You park down in the valley and you got to walk up the holler. And
on that note, if it's not raining, South River Gun Club in Atlanta, just south of Atlanta, is pretty nice. It's all pretty close together.
Very put together too.
Yeah, but if it's raining, good Lord, man. All right, back to some questions here. Crystal's watching.
My daughter? Really?
Crystal Bradley, yeah. Are we having a fourth?
Is she asking when I'm going to take her shooting again?
She hasn't commented at all. Are we having a 4th of July sale? No, we're not. To be honest, it's kind of hectic dealing with everything that's going on anyway. Dealing with the sale on top of that probably would be a little rough. In case you guys didn't know, shipping carriers, we're doing our absolute best to stay on top of processing. I don't think anybody's been able to complain about that. However, once it leaves our hands, it's in the carrying hands of FedEx, UPS, or the U.S. Postal System, and they're not being too kind to people.
The biggest headache we're having right now is getting product from outside the country,
or even in the country.
Yeah, and the other thing is the shipping. I mean, we're having, because of the COVID shutdowns, the Postal Service is really bad because of the COVID shutdowns, and FedEx and UPS are being hurt by all the civil unrest that's going on. They just won't deliver in those areas if there's something going on.
On that note, did the COVID shutdowns increase or decrease business there at Shooters Connection, if that's something you want to answer?
Well, March and April were down some because the matches were all canceled and nobody was doing anything. But when they started opening back up, we talked to some of the clubs down in Florida, and they were like, "We're shut down. We can't even buy targets from you guys because we don't need them right now." Mm-hmm. So when it started opening back up, May and June picked right back up. In fact, June was even better than last year's June.
So it's kind of rebounded a little bit.
Yeah.
Now here's a cool question. What's the most fun stage you've ever shot?
I'd have to think long and hard about that because I've shot a lot of fun stages. But there used to be a match in San Francisco called was it the Golden Bullet or Richmond Rod? I can't remember. Golden State Championship or something. Okay. I can't remember the name of the match. But it was held at the Richmond Rod and Gun Club, and they did 6 stages, and each stage was 50 rounds.
Kind of like the monster match down in Florida.
They did some crazy stuff. I mean, stuff where you're on carts going down.
I remember
through tunnels and shooting through, and then they had another one where you're sitting in a boat, and they had a hardcover popper that had a rain shower head over top of you, and if you hit that rain god popper, it turned the shower on over your head, and it was raining on top of you. They just did some crazy stuff out there that was really fun.
For me, there was I want to say it was either Area 6 or Florida Open in 2015. There was a Rhodesian Wall, and I've shot some fun matches since then, but this stage will forever be in my memory because it showed me what skillful prop, not just construction, but integration. It's one thing to have a really cool prop, like, Texas Stars or Polish plate racks have pretty good, they're a good design if they're set up correctly, but integrating them is hard, making it make sense. Rhodesian Wall. For those of you who don't know, it's a broad wall with a rope in the center, and it's meant to be used where you hold on to the rope to swing around the wall to shoot.
I hate that.
And I'll never forget it because I thought to myself, I was a B-class shooter at the time, okay, grab a rope, go around one side, change gun to left hand carefully, grab rope, go around the other side. And I watched a more experienced open shooter go around, shoot, and they put the rope behind their back and ducked around the wall in this contortionist way and shot the target without changing hands. I was like, whoa, it blew my mind.
If there's room, you can take your left hand and go around the wall this way, and you bring the gun up above the rope and swing around this way and try to go like that, if there's room to do that. They did one at Nationals one year that you had to step down off the platform, switch hands, go back up, and it was a stretch just to get to the weekend position.
I don't even think... I'd be interested in seeing a PCC shooter execute that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Well, usually they make options to where you can shoot. Nowadays, at least this match, I remember there's an option where you can go to the corners and shoot those, but it added steps.
Isn't there a rule about making them shoot one-handed?
You can't force a PCC shooter to shoot one-handed, meaning you can't write it down. Okay. However, you can integrate props, and they have to accomplish it. I mean, they could, like if you have to carry a prop, hey, nothing saying they have to carry it the whole way. It's shoot one-handed. Not carry the rifle one-handed, shoot one-handed. Talking about round counts. Finding product can be difficult. Okay, are we doing waterproof targets? I know it's something we looked into.
I almost brought that up earlier when they asked the question about the hardcover targets. I looked into this many years ago, and we even had some samples run. And it was because before I did this business, I was in the grocery business, and we had boxes that our chickens came in, and the chickens came in with ice on them, and they were in this box that was coated with wax. And I thought, why can't we make the wax-coated target to sell? And we got samples made of it, got some pricing on it, and I just came to the conclusion that nobody's going to spend the money for the extra shipping and for the extra cost to have a whole slew of targets at the match just in case it might rain. I just don't think that the match administrations are going to spend that money on that.
Yep.
I may be wrong, but that was a business decision I made, that I just didn't think it would be a viable product.
Yeah. Just because it's something that you'd like to have doesn't mean it's something that the match organization would be willing to pay for. Or, hey, we'll roll the dice, oh well, we lost. Okay. Next question from Brandon Rader was, what's your ideal start? Start with a 140, go into 170. Is that really a question, man?
Depends on the stage.
He said ideal.
Depends on the stage.
A 170 going to a 140, man? Or what? Are you blind?
Yeah.
I mean,
you never want to reload to a 170 unless you just absolutely have to. I mean, that was one thing that we just tried not to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even when in limited, you know, my belt has mags that hold 18 rounds. I got some that hold 20 rounds, and I got a couple older rest comps that hold 20, 21 or 22 rounds. And I hardly ever use those, you know, because time you cram that last round in it, your gun's going to be less reliable. It is. More rounds, less reliable. So I try to load my magazines down a round. So if my 20 round magazine, I usually put 19 in them. And I'll pipe one up so I got 20. But even in limited, I would never reload to the 20 round magazine unless the stage design absolutely required it.
Yeah, I've seen people try to run that line before and get burned. Trying to run their old rest comps or try to cram 21 in the mag that they didn't know could do it.
It's better to be consistent than to take chances. So I try to go the safer route. I
will agree with you 99% of the time.
Okay.
I've gotten asked before why I keep track of scores. I shoot with Cody Baker a lot. He's local to me, good friend of mine, great guy, and like we keep track of scores going back and forth. It doesn't really influence either of us a whole lot until the last few stages. If I'm behind Cody by 10 points and he puts up a really good run on the second to last stage, hey, even if I match that performance, I'm not going to win. So I need to beat it. I need to go whole hog and, hey, maybe I'll hook up. So being aware of it and knowing when to risk it for the biscuit is, I would say, at GM level, is an important thing to be aware of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have to. The reward has to be there.
Exactly. You can't risk it for no reason.
Right.
But you
know what? I found that's not there very often. Usually the risk isn't worth it. You'd be better off to be. In fact, I was standing next to a score sheet one time. I think it was in West Virginia, and Todd Jarrett and you were looking at the scores, and I think everybody knows who Todd Jarrett is. And Todd's like, Chuck, I won limited that match, he won open that match. And we're sitting there, and he says, look at this. He said, I didn't win a single stage. He said, but I finished second and third all the way across the whole line. He said, I'm going to win this match because of that.
It's true.
But these other guys were winning a match, and then they're way down here.
Yep.
So if you want to be the top shooter, you're going to have to be consistent all the way across the top.
And we see that. I was speaking mainly to a match where, you have one or two other contenders for overall or for winning your class, for example, and you are going into those last two stages and you're right behind them. That's what I was getting at. Not for the whole match as a whole, but in that specific scenario of, you and one other guy are neck and neck going into the final lap, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I talked earlier about having mental control, about JJ's, talking about mindset a lot of times. That matters. It matters in any sport. I'd probably say football is big about it too. But being in the right mindset to win, knowing what you have to do mentally to prepare yourself to win. Not just want to win, but be mentally prepared to win, to do what it takes to win. All right, we have been live. Oh, we're coming up on an hour, Chuck.
Oh, cool.
Just bought an open gun, which is the best site. We covered that earlier. So if you scroll back to, I think, the first 20 minutes, we talked about red dots.
That was one of the first questions.
Chuck, have you thought about making your own line of 1911/2011 frames and slides, 2011 metal grips, AR lowers, and uppers?
No. No, that's wrong. I've thought about it. I just don't think that's a direction that I'm really ready to go to. There's a lot of people making 2011s right now. So many of them that STI struggled, because of it. SV's got their nice little niche, and guess what? Matt Cheeley's got his, and Bobby Keegan's got his, Freedom Gunworks. And who else doing? Atlas,
PT, Limcat.
Yeah, they're all making their own 2011 frames. And to be honest with you, those gunsmiths are going to make their own frames. They're not going to buy them from me, right? So,
and I would wholeheartedly agree with you. Where there's room in the market is where you want to be. You don't want to be in a market that's already saturated unless you have something that can make waves, something that can get attention. And that's where a lot of these companies you just named started. STI started by having something innovative. With the patent in 92, 93 for 2011s.
It was 90, wasn't it?
It was filed in 92. I looked it up the other week.
Okay.
Yeah. CK and Matt Cheeley and Bobby Kagan started it by having their own line of parts and guns. Phoenix Trinity started it by having their metal grips, and then the Evo metal grip. You find a way to make a name for yourself and put food on the table through that. If you can't set yourself apart, either through performance, quality, perceived quality, what have you, by doing something, you're going to get lost in the sauce, especially in the AR market. The AR market, even today, is saturated.
It's completely flooded.
Mm-hmm. Zach McMorty said, "Do you have a gym routine that helps with shooting?"
I have one. I go every day.
One of your sons asked a question here. I'll tell you in a second. Gym routine. I am out of shape right now. The COVID-19, so to speak, COVID 10 pounds I've gained. But I try to integrate a workout. When I am working out, I try to do stuff that's focused on mobility in the gym in the mornings. And then when I live fire train on the range, I try to always get sweaty, just period. So if you are pushing yourself in training to the point where you're getting sweaty, you are going to be working the muscles that you are using. For example, doing side steps. You're working your hip adductors and abductors and moving your lower body, moving side to side, and that's going to help you at a match. So you don't strain something when you go for that low port or you try to move suddenly. That's how human physiology works. If you don't use it, you lose it. So if you use it all the time, you're not going to lose it. Your son, Ryan, said, "What was your most competitive match? Thinnest margin of victory / loss?" I think he knows what story you're going to
tell. He may have been with me. I don't know. It was up in Michigan, his Area 5 match, and I'll never forget this. Me and Brian Enos were shooting together, and we were just keeping track of our own scores because at that match we knew we were the two guys that were in contention.
Okay.
And at the end of the match, we figured that I won by 3 points. Now that was without counting for every. Brian shook my hand, congratulated me, and left. And when the scores came out, he beat me by 0.11 of a point.
So slightly more than 1/10 of a point.
So one of the stages that I had beat him on, somebody beat me on and knocked my points down enough for him to overcome by 0.11 of a point. Now here's a kicker on that. Because I was starting my business also at that time, I had a line shot from an A to Charlie, and I didn't want to be known as the jerk who's making the RO overlay it.
Oh, you had a perf hit.
I had a perf hit, and I didn't call for an overlay because I didn't want to be that guy. Okay?
Yeah.
And after I lost that match, I'm thinking, from now on, I'm going to ask. At least just ask. Nicely,
And I'm going to bring up something on that note. You should never be afraid to ask for an overlay. However, I have learned something that can be applicable to that, is when you are there in that situation, stick to the facts. Hey, RO, can I get an overlay, please? Standing there begging, pleading, or, trying to convince them before they even look at your shot. I wouldn't say it's unprofessional, but I would say that it's not helping your case as much as you think it is. Just take a step back, keep your hands to yourself, don't touch the target, ask the RO to take another look at it, and if you don't agree with them, CRO, and if you don't agree with him, range master.
It gets a little bit dicey when your boss asks for an overlay from you.
Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago, John?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Shooting 45 AC flying ashtray. It was Delta hit, and I was CRO on the stage, and I didn't want to RO my boss at the time, and
you did.
I ended up having to. Pulled the overlay out. I disagreed with the boss. I was like, you know what? Let's just call the range master. I don't want to deal with this. Having spent some more time with Chuck,
it was that close.
It was one of the closest ones I've seen in a while. But
Gary Stevens, the range master, didn't give it to me. That's one thing I've had a history of. Is I usually don't get what I ask for on those.
Yep.
Yeah. Usually told no.
Let's try to wrap it up here a little bit.
I'm having fun.
Well, we've been on air for an hour now.
Yeah, well, how many people we got watching?
Right now, 50. We were up to 67 or 69 earlier. Okay. But this is going to get saved and people can watch it later. Okay. Frank Garcia always said to the RO, if you think you need an overlay, you don't. Interesting.
I agree with that. It's usually the benefit of the doubt should go into the shooter's favor.
Yeah. Brett Owens, sales on Mark 7 auto drives. Yes and no. Touch base with me next week if you're interested. We can probably find something that works for you. But blanket sales, probably not so much, although something changed recently regarding pricing policy. So maybe more to follow on that. Thumb rest for CZ. I'm trying to clean up the easy questions here. Karen, thumb rest for CZ Shadow 2. Karen, Lucia, we already do. It's the Nitro Fin. Replaces a slide stop. I think that works for CZs. I know it works for Tanfos. So that might be something you want to look into. Yes, Brandon Jones, all the awards behind me that's about half the wall of Chuck in his office in here. Actually, no, it's about a third of the wall of Chuck's awards, dating back to 93, 94 time frame on up. I've looked at a few of them, and there's some cool stories behind some of them.
And where's the last one at, where I won High Senior?
Do you have an order?
I actually feel guilty about that one.
Were you 54, not 55?
No, I just
cheated.
I just didn't think I should take the senior trophy.
Gotcha. Yeah, there are more out front, Brett Owens. Okay, so I've been trying to think of what we've been talking, the best way to do what everybody's really here.
Oh yeah, the Hunter Gold.
Hunter's HD Gold glasses. Just so you guys know, the Hunter's HD Gold glasses have been provided directly from Hunter's HD. We didn't ask them for them. He saw me. I was asking for questions to have in this chat, and he wanted to throw those in there to be more in the pot, so to speak. So big thanks to Brian Conley for donating the Hunter's HD Gold glasses. I don't know. How should we give these away, Chuck?
You said you had that covered. So.
Yeah, well, I can. I have a way we can do that, but I think it'd be better if we changed it up a little bit.
Okay.
If you want to win the Hunter's HD Gold glasses, you have approximately 30 seconds to put a comment in write a comment right now saying why you think you should win them. It can be funny, it can be serious, keep it clean, and let me know why you think you should win them. Starting now. I'm going to see who's at the door.
Yeah, somebody's at the door. We not expected anybody this late, but somebody's out there. Let's see if there's any other questions you guys got here. Oh, one question on here says, do you think primers will ever come back in? Yep, been in this business for 27 years, and it happens. Every time we've had a rush on them and run out, it comes back.
Okay, we'll give it a little bit more for some comments to drag in here. And I am going to do what I said. We're going to randomly generate a number for the winner here after. Give it a little more here. Pick me because I keep on trying to win stuff and never do. So what you're saying is, that's not a really good reason, man. Come on. Come on. Brian Conley is a really hardworking guy. We've been really happy to work with him we've been carrying him for 6 months, 9 months. Very, very, just great reception to him. I'm probably getting myself a pair of the lenses at least here soon myself.
They're a little bit expensive, and I was asking people, I said, do they really do what they say they're going to do? And even the guys here take them and use them, and they said, yeah, they do what they say they're going to do.
Barry's got a pair.
Yeah.
Because I'm C-class and need help. By the way, if you've won anything else in this chat already, I'm sorry to say, but you're disqualified. I mean, we're trying to spread the love a little bit here. So the other 3 winners, Danny Korn, Zach, and I apologize, I forgot who the person was, are not eligible. Mike Seifert says, give the glasses to someone who doesn't currently own a pair. I'm not going to hold that against somebody else. This is holding it against you because you already won something is one thing, but they could always lie and say they already they don't have a pair.
No way for us to validate
No way for us to know. All right, we're going to say from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 34 entries. So we're going to do this in a legit way. We're going to do a max random number generation of 34. So Brandon Jones is the last entry right there. randomly generate. We're going to hit it a few times here, blind. Number 30. So Brandon Jones 34, 33, 32, 31. Mike Seifert. Do you already own a pair? Because you're the one who suggested that we not give it to somebody who already owns a pair.
Maybe we could make that apply to him since he suggested that.
Mike Seifert, if you're in the comments, give me something to let me know you're listening. Do you already own a pair? Do you want us to give these to you? Or do you want us to give them to somebody else? Just pick me so I can use my Army privilege. Hey, I'm ex-Army myself, buddy. There ain't no such thing as Army privilege. Yeah. The only Army privilege you're supposed to get is a dang discount at Sizzler. Nope, not saying anything, Mr. Seifert. Well, we will look you up, and if you don't want them, we'll pick somebody else from the comments down beyond. But as it stands right now, Mike Seifert is the proud winner.
You want to write this stuff down?
Yep. Mike, how's he spell his name there? 2 F's. Is the proud winner of the Hunters HD Gold. And we'll be getting you in touch with Brian Conley to get you that set of glasses. Yes, sir. You want us to give them to somebody else, or you want them? Oh, you do. You own 2. You're taking the wind out of my sails here, Mike.
Yeah, he owns 2 of them.
He owns 2 pairs. But I just said this shouldn't matter.
Right.
Well,
what did he say?
You'd like somebody else to enjoy them. Okay.
All right.
That's a noble thing of you to do. We will randomly generate a new number then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 15. And I said that Brandon Jones.
Seifert was 30.
Yep. 29, 28, 27, 26, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. John Villing, you are the winner. John Villing, you are now the new winner of the Hunters HD Gold. JONVILLING. There we go. I got your name written down. I'll be in touch with you, sir, to get you redeemed on those glasses. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We've been staying an hour. It's 6:08 our time right now. It's been great hanging out with you, though. I'm going to say my piece. You need anything, give us a call, and I hope to see you on the range. Chuck, the floor is yours.
Well, we're going to try to do this on a regular basis and bring some different guests in here, like, you know, Mike's offered to come in here. Mm-hmm. JP from JP Rifles is
John Paul.
Yeah, he's contacted me and said he wouldn't mind coming down here and doing that. If you got any other suggestions for that, I mean, we're open. And
yeah, we have some. I got to look into the software. There's a way we could do this with someone, you know, through webcam, so to speak, and that might be worth doing on the industry side of things. Maybe on a shorter format, you know. We're not really into the whole podcast thing necessarily, but hey, this is a good format. We're not trying to just sell to you guys here. We are trying to have a legit discussion. But hey, the sport is something that I love and Chuck obviously loves. I think the wall behind him says that enough.
Yeah. I would like to get some of the. I love discussing the tactics.
You like arguing.
I do like arguing too, but I love discussing the tactics and just the like. Me and Brian Enos, you know how Brian Enos, he's so zen-minded, right? Mm-hmm. We would talk about different things and mindset and all that in the stage breakdown and all that. I love discussing that stuff. So if we can get some people on here, you know, maybe some past top shooters, current top shooters.
Yeah.
And well, got you here, right?
I like to think I'm pretty good, but I don't know if I'd say top. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for us on this, the comments are always open. You can leave a comment after we're done with being live. If you have suggestions or questions we can pick up for the next time, please let us know. And until then, need anything, give us a call, 800-387-4045 or shootersconnection.com. Chuck, it's been a pleasure doing this little chat with you, man. I'll see you probably not bright and early, but at least on Monday at some point.
Monday.
And you guys have a great 4th of July weekend.
Good weekend.
Freedom.
Weekend to celebrate. Yep.
Freedom. I'm gonna have some bourbon tonight. This week's kicked my butt. Well, have a good night. We're off the air. 3, 2, 1.